guys, Tyler here with Spit, and we are starting a new series where we discuss Commander-related topics. Today's episode will be all about the ban list. And we're not really going to go over why it's banned. No, we're actually going to go over whether or not the card should remain banned or it can be unbanned. So stay tuned. We will be going alphabetical order, and there will be separate parts to this video since it is a very long list. I mean, I'm pretty sure we could condense some of it, such as the boxes that are in here. But yeah, it'll be about I believe a 3-parter. And then after we're done with all 3 episodes, we'll make a new episode where we talk about what cards that's currently not banned, currently legal in Commander, where we think it should be banned. And that'll be a very, very interesting topic right there. Alright, so let's get started on the first one right here. The first one being Ancestral Recall. And it's an instant, tap for 1 blue mana, and just target opponent draws 3 cards.
Well, it's target player draws 3 cards.
Oh yeah, target player draws 3 cards. It just seems simple. I mean, I know why it's banned. You know, I do understand it because as part of the Power 9, it is a very expensive card to own, and not everyone could drop like 6 Gs just to own a copy. And if you do, like if I were to drop 6 Gs on a copy, I'm not playing it.
The way I see it is if it wasn't on the reserve list, I don't think it would be as expensive as it is. Mm-hmm. Because it's just a better brainstorm. That's all it is.
Yeah. I mean, if it wasn't for the fact for the reserve list, which, I mean, if the impossible does happen, or the unthinkable, I should say, where they completely just abolish it, which they, for anyone's information, they actually did try, but, you know, failed. But if, in the future, if it does get abolished, and they do reprint the card to where it's more affordable, I think it could be unbanned. I don't think it's not that broken.
Yeah, it would just be something that you would swap out for either Preordain or Brainstorm. It would just be an instant replace in every deck.
Yeah, there are worse cards out there that are currently unbanned in its format. I just think at the end of the day, this and the other Power 9, there's only one reason why it's banned, and it's just because the cost of the actual card itself. Like, to me personally, I'd rather save up for a trip to Japan than buy this card. Cool. Balance is the next one. It's a sorcery, colorless white. And each player chooses a number of lands he or she controls equal to the number of lands controlled by a player who controls the fewest. Then sacrifices the rest. Players discard cards and sacrifice creatures the same way. What do you think about this one?
I don't think it's actually that broken. I mean, if you're playing Landfall against someone who's missing their land drops and they have 2 mana on board, then they've undid all your progress. But I think this just makes the game fair, if anything.
Yeah, it kind of like equal like the card says, it balances the game. So I could kind of see that. I mean, someone running like 10 lands and by like turn 5, mm-hmm. Whereas versus someone who's like mana screwed, only has like 3 lands. I could see them kind of getting screwed, but like the card says, all it says is just lands, creatures, and cards in hand. Mm-hmm. There are times where cards in hand are like 4, even 7, or like how many times early game is anyone really hell-bent?
I mean, I get hell-bent a lot, but that's just me.
Yeah. And then with creatures, I mean, okay, like
playing up against someone who has like elf token deck. Yeah, then it's gonna kind of put them out of the game a little bit. But I mean, I don't see why it should be banned. It's a pretty low mana cost, but other than that, I don't see a reason why it should be banned.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those early decisions when the Commander was first made. So it was probably one of those where like the committee at that time, they're just like, we don't want to deal with it. Because back in the day, there weren't really a lot of interactions. Mm-hmm. Not like there was like barely any.
Yeah,
so
Counterspell, Negate, and a couple others.
Yeah. So we'll see. And if you guys, whatever you guys think too, feel free to comment down below whether or not a card should stay banned or be unbanned. But make sure you keep it friendly, professional, no arguing, no fighting. If you are going to argue, keep it healthy. Alright, next. Biorhythm. 6 colorless, 2 green mana. Sorcery. Each player's life total becomes a number of creatures he or she controls. I kind of have to say, like, this should just stay banned.
I disagree with that. I think that if it said this spell can't be countered on it, I'd say keep it banned.
Yeah.
But there's so much interaction that we have in the game now that I think that it's fair. 8 mana. If they're dropping 1 land a turn to get to that 8 mana, then you should have at the very least like 2 or 3 creatures out.
But how often does green stick with just 1 mana per turn though?
Yeah.
Like you're talking about green that could run some like Skyshower Claim, like Kodama's Reach, Cultivate, like pretty much could ramp, and then on top of that, all these mana rocks, where you're just like, I'm just gonna play a bunch of like you add this on elves, and you get all these mana dorks, and just like, flood the board with elves. Going against someone who's running just straight up combo, and just only having 1 creature out, it's just like, yeah, let's play a Biorhythm turn 5, and then let's just overrun you to win the game.
I think this card pairs really well with an Overloaded Cyclonic Rift.
Oh.
Yeah, Overloaded Cyclonic Rift, drop Biorhythm.
That just makes the card just stay banned.
Nah, I think...
Just when you're saying that, it should just stay banned.
I think it should be unbanned. I love this card, and I've always wanted to run it in a deck, but yeah, it's on the ban list.
Alright. I wouldn't want it.
Hey,
one of these days we could try it, like at the LGS here, we could try to do like a day where we just play a bunch of banned cards. Next up, Black Lotus. I don't think we need to go over Black Lotus.
Yeah, there's no discussion on it.
No.
There's multiple reasons why it is banned. It's a 0-drop artifact that adds 3 mana to your mana pool after you sacrifice it.
Any deck will want that, but
any deck can run it. And also on top of the fact that it costs like a down payment on a house to get.
Yep. That's the bad part about Black Lotus, like just one of those accessibility things. But hey, I guess the question is, just like Ancestral Recall, if they do the unimaginable and they reprint the reserve list cards, they completely abolish it and the price goes down. And this card in particular, I could see it going down to like 150 if they ever do that, but I'm not saying they should. I'm not saying they ever would, but let's just be in a fantasy land and let's say they did, and the card ended up being worth $150 for the newest version of it. I don't know, I could see CEDH going crazy with this card if it becomes unbanned. Just having Jewel Lotus alone can actually make decks run super fast and super crazy.
And not a minute, if this ever did get unbanned, Jewel Lotus's price would just immediately drop.
Yeah, it would
crash. Like Jewel Lotus would be worth like $20.
So I think with Black Lotus, I guess keep it banned, even if they reprint it. Alright.
Artifact decks don't need more help.
No. Yeah, this card, Next up, Braids, Cabal Minion. Creature, or is a legendary creature, I say, 2 colorless, 2 black. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices an artifact, creature, or land. I wonder... I'm not sure, guys. I know when I first started playing Commander, there were cards, like there were certain cards that were banned as commanders, like Rofellos. I'm trying to remember if one of them was Braids.
No, Braids has just been... Well, I think she's just banned as your commander. Yeah, see?
Banned 2009 as a commander. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh no, but it says overall to 2014.
Oh.
So it was. At one point it was. In 2009 is when I actually started playing Magic. And I started playing a commander the following year, 2010. So this card was always banned, and I feel like it's been banned for very good reasons. Like, imagine you could actually play that card, turn one with Jeweled Lotus, and just completely control the board. Like, people can't even play lands, they can't play mana rocks, they can't play any creatures, it'll always be sacrificed. Like, that's not fun.
Yeah, I was thinking like maybe it could just be banned as your commander, which I'm still in the boat that it should just be restricted. Because if this was just completely unbanned, if you had it as your commander, like you said, crack a Jeweled Lotus with a Swamp Out, and then you just shut off everyone else at the table.
Nah, I wouldn't like that. Screw that. So, to me, I say keep it banned.
I say, like, restrict it. Like, keep it as everything but your commander.
Alright, next up. Called Channel. 2 green. Sorcery. Until end of turn, anytime you could activate a mana ability, you may pay 1 life. If you do, add colors to your mana pool. I mean, I think this is like a given right here.
I'm just gonna say it. I want to turn 1 in Emrakul with this.
Of course you do. And I'm pretty sure everyone wants to, but that's why it's banned.
Yeah, it's banned for good reason. Maybe if like the amount of life that you had to pay was just a little more, like pay 5 life, get a colorless, then maybe it wouldn't be as good.
Even if it says pay 2 life.
Well, 2 life still. That is. So if you play this on turn 1, let's say you play it on turn 1, and it's pay 2 life, you're getting 20 colorless mana to your mana. Well, 19 if you don't want to die.
Yeah.
You get 19 colorless mana to your mana pool. That is enough to play all your rocks in your hand and an Emrakul on top of that.
And a Blightstone Colossus.
Yeah, you could just turn 1 Blightsteel and just start picking people out of the game.
Yeah, that's not fun.
Yeah, so
keep it banned.
Yeah.
Ban Hammer. Chaos Orb. This one is a fun one.
I love this card.
So Chaos Orb is a 2 artifact, and it's one of those where you just flip it. You flip Chaos Orb up in the air, and whatever it touches, it gets destroyed. Now, and I kind of get why it's banned though. Like, I understand why. I remember I read a story about someone who went into a tournament with a Chaos Orb, and they were overwhelmed on the board. So what they did was they took the card out, shredded it, and just sprinkled it on top of the battlefield. And so whatever the card touched, it was destroyed because of Chaos Orb. And I think that person ended up losing the game because at that point, because they did that, they didn't have the correct amount of cards in their deck. And I think that's the reason why this card is actually banned, because they're just like, what are you gonna do? Like, you're gonna have like 50 proxies on hand just so that way you just keep doing it over and over and over again? Like, no. That'd be like, to me, that'd just be ridiculous if someone just comes up to your local game store and just straight up was like, hey guys, I have a Chaos Orb. Sprinkle. Like,
fairy dust.
I mean, what do you think?
I mean, I think that it should stay banned. I don't like those kind of cards where it's like, oh, like these could potentially whiff if you don't flip it from a height of at least 1 foot. Like someone, like a judge has to be out there with a ruler to make sure that you flipped it from the correct height. I don't think this has a place in any deck imaginable. Like, it's not even the fact that it's bad. It's just the fact that like there's not a deck that could run it efficiently.
No. All right. So next one up is Coalition Victory. Now I have opinions about this one. So this is 3 colors, Woobird, sorcery. You win the game if you control a land of each basic land type and a creature of each color. This card, because of the mana cost, I think this card can actually be unbanned now.
Well, so here's my little 2 cents on it. So you want a Biorhythm ban, has the same converted mana cost. It has the same converted mana cost of Biorhythm, and all you have to do is run which in order to run this in your deck, you're running a 5-color commander.
Well, yeah, you're running a 5-color commander, but with Coalition Victory, you have ways to stop it. Like, you have ways to interact. It'll be one thing if this thing gave your permanents hexproof.
Yeah.
Or this thing says it cannot be countered. Kind of like what you mentioned with Biorhythm.
Yeah.
But the thing is with Coalition Victory, in order for it to resolve, you need the 5 basic land types, which it can be the trio.
Yeah, you can.
It can be that.
All your triumphs out.
And you need a creature that's Woobird. At least. Like, it could be blue, separate red, separate, black, separate. But let's say you do try to play this, and you have, like, the Dragon out on the battlefield with the triumphs that can trigger it for you to win. Someone could be like, oh, yeah, you want to cast that? Not going to counter it? Path to exile your Dragon. Now that thing is useless. Because it has to be on the battlefield. Yeah. Like, it has to resolve. Like, the 2 has to be there in order for that card to actually resolve. So I think, honestly, because of how the card, like the requirements for it, it could be unbanned. And I want to see people play that card.
I'm same situation as Biorhythm on this. I think that it can be unbanned. I don't see any reason why it should stay banned because of the interaction that you can have against it.
And it's an 8
Same
cost.
thing with Biorhythm. I don't think it should be banned because of the interaction that you can have against it. Like, let's say that there's the elf player with the Biorhythm out. And he has that one little elf out. You just path his elf and then everyone loses.
Yeah, I mean, that's the same thing, but I don't know. The Coalition Victory, I think it's just...
Yeah.
It's not that good. But it'll be so funny if someone wins with Coalition Victory. Let's be real. Next up, Emrakul, the Aeon's Torn. We all know what this is. And we're keeping it banned.
No, I'm not.
Screw the spaghetti monster.
Nah. If it had haste, I'd say it's banned.
It pretty much does. You cast it and you get an extra turn. Like,
it has pseudo haste.
Like, it's a cast.
Yeah.
You get an extra turn.
But it also can't be countered.
Exactly. Like,
this is what I want to play channel into. I want to channel into an Emrakul on turn 1.
No. We're keeping it banned. So next up, Irayo, Soratami Ascendant. Now, I remember when this card was actually not banned. So what it does is it's actually one of the original flips from Kamigawa, or the first part is flying. Whenever the 4th spell of a turn is played, flip Irayo, and it becomes a legendary enchantment called Irayo's Essence, where you counter the first spell played by each opponent each turn. Irayo was banned for so many good reasons, and I was actually happy that the card got banned when it did. All you have to do is just have someone play the 4th spell in one turn, which is super easy to do in Commander, especially when you have a 4-pod. Like, that's all you gotta do, and this thing flips. And then now you gotta play around it. It's stupid. I hated seeing this card.
Did you gonna say something? There's a way to stop it from flipping. Stifle. Stifle keeps it from flipping. It's a 1-drop instant.
I mean, it can.
Yeah. So whenever like it goes to flip, in response to the flip trigger, you can cast Stifle, and then none of the spells on the stack can be countered by that ability.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it can, but then again, you can just start over. Like, you just be like, okay, cool. Well, let's just play the 4th spell again. It's like a flip. You can't really run Stifle every single time. So it's just
It specifically says the 4th, so it will not flip again this turn.
Not on that turn, but it has to be the next turn.
Yes.
But again, the next turn, you could easily cast 4 spells. Like, that's just a big no to me.
I mean,
and plus, as a legendary, you can actually count, like, I remember someone ran it as a commander.
I can see this being in the same boat as Braves. Like, restricted as commander, can be running the 99. That's
gross. It's one of those things where you're like, thank goodness you never played against it, because I remember when I played against it and I did not have fun. All right, next up, Falling Star, 2 colorless red sorcery, and it pretty much is just the same exact thing as Chaos Orb, except it deals 3 damage to whatever it touches. So it's the same concept. I think it should stay banned.
Yeah, there's no reason, like, there's no deck that can run it efficiently. So, I mean, it can be unbanned. I don't think that anyone's going to run it if it is unbanned. Because it's just banned because of it says it right here, that cards that require manual dexterity present unique accessibility challenges for the format.
Yep.
So it's just banned because it's the flip. That's it.
That's like, nope. Let's just keep it there. Just keep it there. Next up, Fast Bond. Fast Bond is a green enchantment, and you may put as many lands onto the battlefield. And if you do, deals 1 damage to you for each land beyond the first one that you play this turn. I don't see what's wrong with it.
I think it's fair. Paying 1 life to play an extra land. I mean, I don't see what's wrong with it.
Yeah. I honestly don't. We got burgeoning. We got exploration. We got other things that doesn't deal damage to you.
Yeah.
I think Fast Bond is good enough.
And this only goes off the lands that are currently in your hand. It doesn't. So you're still only playing those lands on your turn. So, I mean, and if you're playing like a landfall deck like Tatiova or something where you're playing those lands and gaining the life and drawing a card, then there's no downside to it. But also, there's going to be a point where you're not drawing into those lands you need.
Yep. And by then someone brings out Tatiova, it could be turn 2 or anything like that. Fast Bond could be dealt with. Mm-hmm. At that point, people should be running interactions. And I get that some people have that mindset where I don't want to add an interaction for a certain card, but at the same time, you should already be running cards that destroys enchantments, artifacts, creatures, and lands, like all that stuff. It should already be part of your 99. Like Reclamation Sage is a card that all green decks should run, especially when they run elves or they run ETBs. Like, it's already an automatic thing that you should already run that could target Fast Bond.
Personally, if I'm not running Reclamation Sage, I'm already running Naturalized.
Yeah.
But this can also be countered with a Mental Misstep.
It can.
So I don't you don't even have to have mana open. Pay 2 life, counter it.
Yeah. So I think it's fair. I think it's a fair one.
I think
it could be unbanned.
Yep.
Now then there's Flash. Colorless blue instant. You may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. If you do, sacrifice it unless you pay its mana cost reduced by up to 2.
You're essentially casting the creature, but not casting it.
Yeah.
Because you're paying this spell's mana cost in addition to that creature's mana cost minus 2, which the spell's mana cost is 2. So you're just casting the creature.
Yep. And I mean, it's one of those things where like Flash could be good. Like it could be good in my Rune deck, where it just flashes and it just ETBs and everything like that. Or even allies decks. Like I have one that's Aragorn the Uniter. That could be good too. Just pump them out because that's all I need for them to do. Is just be on the battlefield and interact with each other. But it's just a downside where you have to sacrifice it right away unless you pay, like, I guess for example, like a 5 cost, unless you pay 3 for it. Like, I could kind of see going ham. Like if someone like hypothetically have a mimic bat on the battlefield and then just put Peregrine Drake, I'm gonna put it under it in response to the flash. It's just like, well, you could do that, but
also it would work really good with like creatures with enter the battlefield effect because it does enter the battlefield.
Yeah, like
but I could see it being. I don't see it being broken. I can see it being good. Like let's say you want to just pay 2 mana to flash out your Mull Drifter, draw 2 cards, and it sacrifices itself.
Yeah.
Or your Peregrine Drake, like how you were saying, untap 5 lands, so you're open for an interaction.
Yeah. And this is all according, I should have said this in the beginning of the video, but this is all recorded according to the website mtgcommander.net. It did say that the card was officially banned in April 2020. I've never actually seen this card play since I started playing Commander back in 2010. So, I don't know. It's one of those cards where I just don't know how it'll work out, but it'll work through ETB decks. I mean, if I had the opportunity to play it in my Rune deck, it probably would have been fun, but at the same time, I don't see the craze of it. Alright. Gifts Ungiven. 3 colorless blue. Instant. Search your library for up to 4 cards with different names and reveal them. Target opponent chooses 2 of those cards, then you put the chosen cards into your graveyard and the rest into your hand. In Commander, that is broken.
So, we have intuition in Commander. So, I think that this is a strictly worse intuition, if not just a tiny bit worse than intuition. Either way, they're both ways to get your combo online. Like it's used in like Underworld Breach decks and CEDH to get like your Lion's Eye in the graveyard, and but I don't see how this makes anything different because intuition already gets all your pieces, and it costs, I think it's 1 and a blue and a colorless, or it's a blue and 2 colorless, and it gets all of your pieces.
That's true.
And it's put 1 in the graveyard and 2 in your hand. This one is put 2 in the graveyard, 1 in your hand. Well, 2 in the graveyard and 2 in your hand. I don't see why this should be banned and intuition shouldn't be.
It'd probably be one of those things that we could mention in that last episode. I mean, if this is banned, the intuition should be banned.
Yes.
I mean, this one's an instant. I'm not sure if intuition is also an instant.
I believe intuition is also an instant. So,
I mean, and the fact that it's an instant, like, it's one of those things where you could easily be like, you know what? You're playing something deadly? Let me tutor out 4 counters. Because screw you. You're not playing this no matter which one you choose. Now it's just like, what do you want to happen? Do you want Force of Will to happen, or do you want Mana Drain to happen? Do you want me to give me, like, colorless, you want me to give me some mana, or do you want me just waste my Force of Will? What do you want?
The way I see it is either unban this or ban intuition. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, which I could see them banning intuition over unbanning Gifts Ungiven any day. If the committee was to give an option between the two. All right, last one. As again, this would be a 3-parter. Golos Tireless Pilgrim. 5 colorless artifact or legendary artifact creature. When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a land card and put it onto the battlefield tapped. Then shuffle your library. And then 2 colorless in Wooburg. Exile the top 3 cards of your library. You may play them this turn without paying the mana cost. I'm going to be honest with you when it comes to Golos. This was the weirdest ban I've seen in the EDH committee.
I mean, I can see it, but I also can't see it.
Yeah.
I think it's like one of those ones where it could be unbanned. It also probably should stay banned because you could run like Eldrazi with this and just pay your Wooburg and 2 and get 3 Eldrazi's onto the battlefield.
And I think that's what their intention was. Like, I'm pretty sure the committee, they played against Golos. Like, one of them played against Golos too, where they're just like, nah, let's have it banned. I'm pretty sure there are some cards that are like that with the committee. But I don't know. Like, Golos was one of those, like, I remember I stopped playing Magic for a bit after my daughter was born, and I came back into Magic the Gathering when we moved here to Oklahoma. And when I was looking through the ban list to start building decks, I saw that, and I just like, why? Like, to me, like, I only knew one person who played Golos as our commander, and they did Golos Gates, and it was the funniest thing ever. This was before, of course, before Commander Legends 2 came out, with the additional gates and, like, all the, like, interactions that gates have nowadays. So, to me, like, this was just out of nowhere, made absolutely no sense, considering the fact that the land you search for comes intact.
And it is a basic.
No, it's it's just land. It's any land.
Just any land card. So you could search up a Triumph with it. That's going to enter tap anyways.
Yeah.
But the first deck that first person I played against that was playing Golos, they played Golos Slivers, and it was disgusting.
Anything Slivers is disgusting. Let's be real now.
Golos Slivers was stupid. It was like turn 4-ish. They had Sliver Hive Lord and the first Sliver out, and we're just digging through the deck.
I mean, if you're running Golos Slivers, you're pretty much bound to be targeted out the game every single time. So that kind of makes sense. But we're gonna stop right here. This was a good episode. Next episode, we're gonna do another more, like another 15 that we're gonna go over to see whether it should be banned or unbanned. And like I said, once we're done with the list, we'll start going over cards that we think should be banned. What do you guys think, though? Any of these cards that we mentioned, you guys think should stay banned, or if you guys think it should be unbanned, kind of like Coalition Victory? Let us know in the comments. All right, guys. If it's your birth month, happy birth month. See you guys.